can't say where the road goes, where the day flows, only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows, only time.
Good morning. Welcome back to history class. We're talking about the land of Babylon. Okay. We talked about how Babylon is in the area of Sumer. Okay. Yesterday we talked about how it's one of its kings, Hammurabi, gave us laws. Some of these laws we still use today. Okay. But Hammurabi was not the first king of Babylon. He was not even the most famous king. That honor belongs to this man, the most famous king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar. What made him so famous? Well, let's go back and take a look at Babylon again, the land of where it was. You can see here here's a picture of the world, and then here's where Babylon was. Now, Babylon started off as just a city, but it grew and it grew and it grew and it grew and it grew into an empire. Basically, Nebuchadnezzar was the first king of the world. Now, you might be saying, Mr. Matt, that's silly. Look how small Babylon is compared to the rest of the world. Well, they didn't know about all the rest of the world. They only knew about that one spot. So as far as King Nebuchadnezzar was concerned, he was the king of the world. He sent his armies out, and they conquered almost all the land of Mesopotamia, and that includes the land of Israel. And he set himself up as the emperor. The Bible calls him one of the greatest kings that the world has ever seen. We know a lot of what we know about Nebuchadnezzar comes from the book of Daniel. There's your second question in there. The question is, which book of the Bible talks the most about King Nebuchadnezzar? And that's the book of Daniel. Okay. Nebuchadnezzar was a great leader, great ruler. He had some problems. One of his problems was he was very proud. He was very proud. And he was so proud that he would like to go around and say, look at this great country of Babylon that I have built. That's all because of me. Was it all because of him? No, it wasn't because of him. It was because of God. Right? God was the one who made Nebuchadnezzar as good a fighter as he was, who made him as smart as he was, who made him as good of a ruler as he was. The Bible says that because Nebuchadnezzar was talking so much about how great he was, instead of how great God was, that God said, Nebuchadnezzar, I'm going to take everything away from you. I'm going to take away your palace. I'm going to take away your nice clothes. I'm going to take away all your followers. I'm even going to take away your mind until you learn who is the real God of this world. The Bible says that for after that, Nebuchadnezzar, he went crazy. He went loco. He thought that he was an animal instead of a person. The Bible says he was so crazy that his people threw him out of the land. He went out and lived out in the woods, out in the bush, like an animal. His fingernails grew out like claws. His hair grew out like fur. He was a mess. But after 7 years, God gave him his mind back. He made him understand he was a person again instead of an animal. And when he came back to Babylon, got himself all cleaned up, and got up and he said, "Now I know that that the God of heaven is the one true God. He is the one who makes kings." Okay. He learned his lesson. We're not sure, we think that Nebuchadnezzar became a Christian. We do know that one of the chapters in the book of Daniel, he wrote this story about what happened to him. Okay, so we think he became a Christian. Okay, we don't know. That's what we think. Yeah. Nebuchadnezzar did many wonderful things, and one thing he's probably most famous known for is this: the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. That looks pretty, doesn't it? We don't know exactly what it looked like. This is just one person's idea of what it might look like. The story goes that he had a wife who was from a country with lots of beautiful trees and plants and flowers, but Babylon didn't have any of those, and she missed them. And she missed them, and she was sad because of it. So Nebuchadnezzar built all of this for her. She couldn't have her own garden, so because there wasn't a place to make them. So he built all of this beautiful garden just for her. People came from all over the world to see it. It's called the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. As you can see, it's there hanging off of the building. The trees are in pots, and the flowers, they're hanging down from the building because it doesn't grow up from the ground like a regular garden, but it just covers the whole land, the whole building, the whole little island there. Yeah. They're called the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. People came from all over the world to see them. Okay, that's King Nebuchadnezzar, and he was what we call the first emperor of the world. Okay, so our questions for today are: who is the most famous king of Babylon? And that is King Nebuchadnezzar. What book of the Bible talks the most about him? And that's the book of Daniel. And his most famous creation is the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Okay. Next time we meet, we'll talk a little bit more about how Babylon made civilization better.